What is the best way to stay positive in such a depressing world? As a professional psychologist, I can tell you it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You can experience positivity no matter what. Now, a few weeks ago, I shared a story about being in a horrific accident. You can go watch that video next if you'd like to. Just click on that card up there in the corner. From my own experience and from working with hundreds of clients over the years, I've come up with 4 specific things that you can do to stay positive no matter what. Now, a little disclaimer before we get into that. Positivity is not ignoring the pain or the difficulty of the circumstances. In fact, it's kind of annoying to me when people throw out the phrase, hey, just think positive, as if they know what it even is. I'm a professional psychologist, and the steps that I'm going to share with you are very practical steps for you to stay in a positive mindset, regardless of the difficulty or the pain of a situation, and those things are real. So step number 1 is to feel whatever you're going to feel. You're always right about how you feel, and circumstances are neutral. Now, when I say circumstances are neutral, I do not mean that they are painless or easy, because sometimes they're very painful and difficult. But when I say circumstances are neutral, I mean it could always be better and it could always be worse. Wait, is that true? I want you to check that out and see if it is. Because if that's true, then no matter how bad things seem, it could always be worse. Is that true the other direction? No matter how good things seem, it could always be better, right? So connect with that truth for just a minute and realize that our circumstances are neutral. How we judge them is not neutral, and that's what creates our feelings. Now, having said that, there are things that will happen where you get to feel whatever you're going to feel, and that's why that's step 1. Feel whatever you're going to feel. In that accident that occurred several weeks ago, I was shocked. I was surprised. I was concerned. I was disoriented. These are the feelings that I felt immediately. Why? Because I was just in an accident. Now, would it make sense to say, hey, Dr. Paul, don't feel those things? No, you're supposed to feel those things. What if you've just gone through a divorce or a bankruptcy or you got that diagnosis? How are you supposed to feel? See, as human beings, we are emotional beings, and we get to feel whatever we're going to feel. I love the way one of my coaches put this. She said, there's clean pain and there's dirty pain. And the clean pain is whatever you get to feel as a human being. How are you supposed to feel when these things happen? Well, you're supposed to feel kind of like you feel. So don't try to change it or resist it. Just allow yourself to feel whatever you're going to feel. That's the clean pain part of this thing. Now, I think we all know that there's some dirty pain too, and that's the pain that's unnecessary that we create through our own stinking thinking. And it's not the purpose of this video to get into all of that, but allow yourself to feel as that first step, whatever is going to come to you in your emotional life. I think the hesitance that we have to do this is that we're afraid we're going to stay there. But a colleague of mine made his whole career off of 2 words: feelings change. And they do. I noticed that in the accident too. Even though I had a lot of shock and surprise and dismay right there at the beginning, those feelings change over time as you get used to whatever your circumstances are, or as you change the way you approach it. Feelings change. So don't worry about that. Just feel it. Step number 2, I already introduced to you, and here it is. Realize that it could always be better and it could always be worse. I'm not saying at this point that you have to think about it differently. What I'm inviting you to do is see that whatever it is you're experiencing is right in the middle between better and worse. Once you see that, you can start to bring your mind around to an understanding of how you're already judging it, and that puts you back into a position of choice. See, until you see it as a choice, it's not. And you just roll with whatever your programming is or whatever the default settings are in your mind. Realize that it could always be better, it could always be worse, and then we'll decide what to do with that as we move forward. What I love about this step is that it creates new possibilities. We get it into our head sometimes that what's happening to me is terrible. No, it's not. It's neutral. And that might sound insensitive at first, but realizing that that is true actually creates some power to choose how we're doing the judgment of our own life. And we get out of the default. We break away from the pre-programming enough that we can have some awareness of what's going on. So notice it. Be aware of it. You don't have to change it. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Just be aware of it. Hey, let's spread some positivity, shall we? How can you stay positive? Well, we're getting into the psychology of that right here. Would you take a moment to share this video? There's a share button right down below. Click the share button, go to your favorite place to share it, and find some people who could use this. Let's team up to share some positivity. Thank you for doing that. Now let's go to step 3. This is where you redirect your mind toward gratitude. Gratitude has a lot of research behind it as being a powerful way to get yourself into a positive position, regardless of what's going on around you. My friend Kevin Clayson wrote a book called Flip the Gratitude Switch. I highly recommend it. It's on my top 10 list. When you experience the difficulties that are happening out there in the world, and they will happen, ask your mind to search for and find what you're grateful for. In that circumstance, the way it is without changing anything, this is actually a life-saving experience. I've had clients who I gave this assignment to go ask their mind what's positive about this, what can I be grateful for about this? And in that gratitude, it actually saved their life. I'm talking creating hope where there was none before. And hopelessness is the number one predictive factor when it comes to suicide. That's how profoundly important this is. Find the gratitude. Now, here's how your brain works. Your brain is sitting there waiting for your instructions. And when you say, this is bad, your brain's like, aye, aye, Captain, I'm going to go find all the ways this is bad. And your brain can go find the ways that this is bad. When you say, what am I grateful for? Your brain comes to attention again and gets to work on what you just asked it to do. Now be careful because there's a trap, all right? The trap is when your brain is going to respond and say, what is there to be grateful for about this? Notice how it's not even a question. It's a statement disguised as a question. Turn it back into a question. And it's a pretty darn good question. What is there to be grateful for in this? Redirect, steer your mind toward the gratitude. Ask your brain to work for you, not against you. And I guarantee in any circumstance that you're in, you will find something, if you ask your brain to look for it, to be grateful for. In fact, I would encourage you to find at least 10 things in this difficult circumstance that you're grateful for. Ask your brain to find it. Make a list of those things. Like the car crash that I was in, for example. What is there to be grateful for in that? I learned that I can trust my team more than I thought I could. It's all in the story when I told the story on the video. I learned that there are angels among us. I'm really grateful for that. People who are willing to step up and serve out of their inconvenience just to make my life a little easier. I'm grateful for insurance because without the insurance, there would be some huge expenses that I would be incurring right now as a result of that accident. I could go on. You could too. And that's my point. Ask your brain to do that. Redirect your mind toward the gratitude. Here's step 4. Ask your mind to help you create the upgrade. The upgrade. Think about that for a minute. Things are going to change, right? You won't stay in these circumstances forever. The world is going to do whatever it's going to do around you, and things will change. We're going to steer our mind toward creating an upgrade. What could be better that I can go create? What could I do that would make a positive impact on this? Here's a way to make this a little more simple. Think about 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock tonight. Okay, is it coming? Yeah, I mean, look at your clock. It's on its way, right? Even if it's just a few minutes past 8, there's another 8 o'clock coming tomorrow morning. So just notice that 8 o'clock is coming. Things have to be different at 8. They can't be exactly the same. At least you're going to be a little older. Now ask your brain, what could I do to make my life or this circumstance a little better by 8? I'm not talking next week, next month, next year. You hone it in to something that is closer to you. 8 o'clock works for me. How can I make this better by 8? And then notice what your brain does. See, you've just put it to work and it's ready to obey, to go find ways for you to improve your circumstances or your situation by 8 o'clock. How does that feel? Do you feel the hope that starts to come in as you intentionally start to steer your mind? Now, what I've been sharing with you is captured in a model that we use in all of our coaching programs at Live on Purpose. I'll give you a free PDF copy of this model with a quick little description of it. It's all one page and it's completely free. Go to the URL on the screen right now, drpauljenkins.com/themodel. I'll put this in your inbox, and then you'll have that tool that will help you to stay positive, regardless of what's happening around you. That's pretty good news.